Good day, ladies and gentlemen. The third-person shooter has proven itself to be one of the most prominent types of gaming interfaces. It had to come from somewhere, however, and it did not come from Gears of War. For you see, Gears of War only married the over-the-shoulder type of camera seen in Resident Evil 4 and the cover-based shooting system of today's game, Kill.Switch.
Kill.Switch was developed and published by Namco and released in 2003 for the PS2, Xbox, PC, and GBA. Didn't know that one existed. Today we're looking at the PS2 version being emulated by the PCSX2 emulator, and that emulator does it quite well, and this is an example of a PS2 game that is really helped by being upscaled and anti-aliased. This game is a cover-based, behind-the-back third-person shooter. It iterates on the cover-based system seen in the criminally underrated game Winback: Covert Operations. That game came out back in 1999 for the N64. In Winback: Covert Operations, you pressed a button to stick to cover and then had to press it again to get out of cover. In Kill.Switch, you hold down a button to go into and out of cover. And it's easy to see why it popularized the cover-based shooting concept, because getting in and out of cover is a breeze, and the way the game is structured, keeping to cover is a necessity, but it never gets dull, unlike in later games. You have a health system that is an interesting bar/regenerative system. You have a health bar and can take a small number of hits, but if you take just a few hits, it can regenerate a little bit of health, but to fully heal you need to get an aid kit. The enemies come in large numbers, but take few hits to take down, meaning you can blast bastards pretty fast, provided you are good at moving into and out of cover. And the game has you covered with that, as you have a tactical gym bro CrossFit roll that lets you dodge enemy fire while getting to new cover. The speed and fluidity of the game wowed audiences in the early 2000s, and other devs took notice and integrated it as needed. The third-person shooting is pretty bloody good in its own right, and you have a good number of weapons, and you can carry them all on your person at all times. You got your typical M4, your several different flavors of AK, and an M1 shotgun. The enemies are smart and can give you a good challenge. Each level has various normal objectives to complete, and thankfully this comes from a time before widespread QTEs and cutscenes, so each level is pure third-person shooting action. The biggest problem with the game, though, is while the cover system is fluid, the movement is a little stiff and a little twitchy, and the camera could be way better, and you can get killed by enemies you couldn't see due to camera issues. All told, Kill.Switch is still worth playing today, as its gameplay is still solid enough that even a spoiled modern gamer should find it fun enough, and I highly recommend giving it a try. The game has aged pretty well in terms of graphics, especially with all the help PCSX2 gives it. However, let's not kid ourselves, this is an 20-year-old PS2 game. I guess it's retro now. The textures for the levels are pretty low res, and the 3D models are lacking in detail, and while the cover system is fluid, the animations are not, and everything is pretty stiff. Sound quality is alright, and the weapons do sound generic, and nothing really pops out to the ear, but it could be worse. Music is pretty generic too, but it's not annoying, even though nothing about it is altogether that memorable. And that is kind of one of the reasons why, despite its major contribution to gaming, it did not last in the popular consciousness outside of the fact that it refined cover-based shooting. Nothing much about this game really sticks out from the pack of other PS2 third-person shooters. You play as Nick Bishop for the future. He has been RoboCopped and is under the fiendish control of Archer. Basically, we got a situation where Bishop has had his brain hijacked by early 2000s tech. They put a Zune in his brain! And you are playing as Bishop, as he is being played by the villains as they go about their nefarious deeds. Meta, man! You do normal evil deed stuff like kill generals, hey screw you, steal nukes to go 88 miles per hour, knock over North Korea. Eventually you will see cutscenes where Bishop tries to remember his past life, Robert Cobb style, and the game will have a female voice saying, "Say my name." So yeah, we got some influences by the oddly successful Terminator 2 knockoff Universal Soldier, and like in that movie, our hero eventually is freed from his zone of evil and goes on a warpath to revenge. The levels in this game are quite fun to fight through and decently imaginative. Eventually you do get to fight Archer himself in his Doom Fortress, and the boss fight is adequate, and the ending leaves room for a sequel. That never happened. In short, the evil Zunes are released onto the open arms market, and more Belgians will be able to be controlled. Can Bishop stop them? Find out never!
That's it. Game good. This is one of those games where it does everything right, but doesn't really stand out outside of simply iterating third-person shooting as we know it. However, with that in mind, it's still a game worth playing, and if you haven't played it in a while, boot it back up and see why it was able to change gaming the way it did. And so, I am General Lotz, wishing you good, the darkness, and good, the darkness too, or whatever makes you happy.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and please consider leaving a like or a comment, as the algorithm desires your soul. And I want to thank all those fans who have supported this channel, both past and present.